just getting on now.
Have you got that one on then? Paul,
Okay,
you should
go
be
again.
hot.
Can you hear me, Chits? Oh.
Hang on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry, go again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Filling in nicely out of their heads now.
It's literally that pressure line. It's just filled down through.
Audio off.
Windier it gets, more red pumps comes in.
Good afternoon and welcome to Manly 16ft Skiff Club for the final heats of the Club Championship for Heats 8 and 9 for the last time this season for 2024-25. I'm Jimmy Bury and hello and welcome to all our loyal friends watching from Australia and around the world for what promises to be another beautiful day on Sydney Harbour. Joining me today in commentary is Pat Langley and Paul McKenzie. How are we, guys?
I'm very good, Jimmy. Thanks for having us out here. Interesting day, Pat.
Oh, look, always great to be out here with the Sale Media team. Hey, and haven't we picked a cracking day? Honestly, it's a bluebird day, and not only that, we're going to have some red-hot racing. It's going to be a real boat race in the 2 heats that we're going to see today.
Yeah, 2 long heats, I think, for a couple of these boats. If we want to, we're going to go to the scoreboard, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think it's important to let people know that it is tight as tight can be, and Paulie, we'll have a look at the overalls there.
Yeah, so really in the 16s we're down to there's 3 boats extremely tight at the top end of the fleet. The MCC 1 point ahead of Moonin and then 1 point back to Imagine. But to make it a little bit more interesting, the MCC's got a DNF a couple of weeks ago to a gear failure, so they're carrying a big number and with only 1 drop. Bit of pressure on them there. And then Imagine's got the next biggest with Ruffy's worst ever consistent with the 4th. So really, this first race, it's one where you can't win it, but you could easily lose it in this one, and that's where the pressure's going to be. And then down from that, we've got another little bunch of boats, another 6 points back, with the Red Pumps Imey and Red Pumps Red. So the Dransfield battle still going strong in the Club Championship. And just chuck in there the current national champion as well. So really, these guys aren't out of it with 2 races, especially with only 1 drop in play and people in front of them with some big numbers. So it should be good to see. And with this breeze just kicking in a little bit, it sort of takes a bit of the flukiness out of it. And I think we're going to see a battle between the big dogs up the front.
Yeah, well, as Paulie alluded to, don't go anywhere. This is going to be edge of your seats viewing today, and we'll take a look at the weather, Pat. What are you sort of seeing?
Yeah, so we're just starting to see an increase just in the last, I would say in the last half an hour. Early in the day, we had just a light and flaky westerly that was sort of draining out of the Sydney Basin, and now we're just seeing a bit of a cloud build up offshore that's just helped see this breeze increase, and obviously it's brought the breeze further to the left into more of a south and going southeasterly. So yeah, I think as we're seeing right now, we're probably looking at about I'd say 10 to 12 knots right at this moment. And I think if the forecast rings true, we'll see it increase a little bit during the day. So certainly for the second race today, we could have more pressure than the first.
Yeah. And I think that's why we see a lot of the boats out here. They've got their big rigs in, but they're putting their smaller second jibs. It's also quite flat water, which plays into the second jib. But I think we should see everyone 2 swinging on the upwind. And then there's still some big holes in it. So downwind, chasing the puffs and getting a little bit aggressive, I think will be the play.
Yeah, and we'll just to let the viewers know, we will be focusing quite heavily on the 16s. The 13s have pretty much so been run and won by young Heidi and Orlando on the Harkin. So well done to them. But if we do come across them during the day, we will cross over to the 13s. They are racing. There's the Harkin on screen now.
And I think the boat that's coming second in the 13s as well has jumped up into a 16 for the day. So that's really good, getting them prepped for next year and see how they go. It's always impressive, and it's almost a perfect day for a 13 sailors to jump in a 16. Nice flat water, slightly consistent breeze.
No better day for it.
But having said that, we're running into a pretty red hot fleet. This is obviously, we're pretty lucky here in Australia to have this class of racing and the level of racing. Let's have a look at today's field. The guys that are on each of these boats. There's Olympic world champions. There's Olympic gold medalists. This is really red hot racing, and so pretty cool for the 13 guys to get amongst that.
Well, yeah, and I think as well, if we have a look at the top 4 or 5 in the 16s in this race, all of them have won a state or national championship. Some of them multiple. So this is winning a Manly Club Championship at the moment is, pretty difficult.
Yeah.
We've got, I think, we have 5 out of the top 10 boats at the Nationals, so we're really, it's a difficult thing to do it over an extended period over a whole season.
Yeah, it's quite prestigious, isn't it? And and everyone's been gunning for it today. And I think actually, just going back to the points before, you mentioned the drops, and you're right. I think they will come into play. Imagine with a drop of 8 is something they might need to, really keep an eye on. But look, my feeling today is I think to win this thing today, you've got to win one race and probably be in the top 2 or 3 in the other, and then you're going to be in the hunt. I think that's the only way.
Two bullets would be the nicest way. That's for sure.
Well, mate, you're doing even better. More power to you.
I think there's definitely going to be some nervous blokes in the, be happy to be out on the water now and starting to come into it, and hopefully.
Yeah, well, Paulie, tell us, how's our mate Ruffy this morning?
Ruff sent me a few messages before he went out. I've sailed with him enough in these pressure situations. He can act calm, cool and collected, but you can see it's like a duck, feet below water. It's all running around in there. But I think the 2 races might play into his hands a little bit here. Get one under the belt. I don't think we'll see too much funny business between people in this first race, trying to push people around. They'll wait for the second one, and I think that might play into his hands a little bit. So we're the other guys in it though. Who do you like out here, Pat? Who's your pick for the day and overall?
Pick for the day. Well, look, I've got to put my Vicobie hat on, obviously, and I'm a bit biased, obviously, and love obviously seeing Trent and Joel and the guys on the Imey, and obviously the Australian champions, and they're coming back pretty good in this regatta, in this series, with a 2-1-4 in the last 3 races. But look, you probably can't go past the Imagine guys now on board today. We've got obviously Nathan Wilmot on the helm, and then Ricky Bridge as usual, and we've got a change with Simon Hoffman off and none other than Mal Page on board.
It's tough when you get a replacement like that, isn't it? Just a couple of gold, couple of national championships under the belt.
Where do you store all the gold medals?
All the championships on that, but you got to remember Bridgie's won a few more of these national titles than both of them put together, I think. So
for that reason, I think they're my favourite. I'd say, I think that's probably my favourite. But look, the MCC guys have been, obviously they're leading the series for a good reason right now, and then obviously the Moonin is always in there. So,
Well, I think for the MCC guys today, as we start to see this pressure increase, they are very, very good uprange. They seem to have a second gear upwind as soon as they can, go to low hooks and start playing a bit of main upwind. And I think the boys will be hoping other boats will be hoping that they don't go too well in the first one, because they could blow them away in the second.
Absolutely. Okay, so it looks like we've just pulled the AP down, and we'll be getting going pretty soon. So obviously the race committee's confident with the wind that's settled in here in this new direction. And the moment we're looking at a 3 windward leeward course. So that's what we'll be doing today for the first race.
Yeah, and just to start here, guys, we're just starting off Reef Beach. We're trying to get a top mark up there, but I can't quite see it.
So 145 degrees, Paul. You worked that out off the compass in front of you.
Compass? Oh, so it's straight ahead. Yes. So it's sort of sitting just off North Head. So it does look like a good length work for this first one. So we might get a bit of separation up this first work. But really this breeze hasn't fully settled in on the way it's coming down the course yet, has it, Pat? So it's a bit hard to tell where you want to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I think it's... I think for a tight series like this, it's going to be a challenging day. You're not going to want to let your rivals get on the other side of the course. And, I think definitely it is increasing up the top there. I can definitely see coming around South Head, there's more pressure building, so it should be interesting.
Because the traditional way to go up this in a sou'easter is sort of get over to that left shore and then you work up the left and stay in the flat water. But it seems to be fairly flat all the way across the course. Sometimes this right-hand side turns into a washing machine, and in these boats you can't really push through it. It makes life a little bit harder. So I think really these conditions are playing into, we could get some big separation, and how they deal with it when it happens, because I've got a feeling it's going to go further left, but I'm often wrong, so I'd go right.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we had the high tide. We've got high tide coming up at 3:52 today, 1.1 metres from a low of 0.5. So
Not a real big one, is it?
not a big one, no.
I mean, I've never really thought about it too much down this end of the harbour. It's really when you start extending over to South Head that you really have it playing into it.
You wait for the phone call tomorrow morning now. You said that if someone's watching.
Who?
Baz.
He knows I know nothing anyway. He's told me that my whole life. Just sail the boat, Paulie. That's all you got to do.
All right, so here we are, 3 minutes 33 to the start, and we've got the fleet just all... They're actually, interestingly, they're all out early today doing a bit of practice, so they were all getting a lap in at least, and I think that, you know, there has been a fair few crew changes today, you know, so I think, you know, another crew change, we've got Flynn Toomey in for Rob Napper on Imey. I know Rob's up in Orange with Holly enjoying a bit of wine this weekend, so shout out to Rob if he's listening in, but they've got a good replacement in Flynn. So, but yeah, a lot of crew changes for this last one. Another notable mention on Red Pumps Red with Zoe Dransfield and Hugh Stoddard. We've got Ben Lamb on board. Ben's a multi-electrical world champ and
Wins everything he gets in pretty much, doesn't he?
Pretty handy. So we'll see how Lambie goes today. So, yeah, you know, so obviously I think we're really interested to see how these combinations settle in.
Yeah.
And for the viewers at home, Red Pumps, new mainsail, so no signage on there, but they've got dark coloured sails. There's also the Fluid has no signage on their sails as well, so just keep an eye out for them. That's Fluid there on screen with the white hull. No signage. And that's it. Clint's actually given his boat away for the weekend to some other people.
Down to the 13 guys. A couple of the young 13 sailors. So that's good for them. With this start line, we don't seem to have too many people with 2 minutes to go lining up. It's hard to tell where they're all going. It looks like Imagine and MCC are sort of coming in from the pin end and going to do a late approach and flick over.
It's just looking a little light here at the moment. Just here, I think, on the right, you know, to me, there might be a little bit more breeze filling in from the left, but I think it's going to be a bit of a challenging period just after the start, wind-wise.
Yeah, I think that we'll probably see people try and extend into that left-hand side, and it's sort of it's a bit of a tough game over there. If you go too far, you can sit there bobbing for a little bit, but if you go too early, you miss out on the big lift coming around the point.
All right, just coming down to almost 1 minute now, so everyone's just starting to stack up. We've got a fairly nice stack up here at the windward end of the line. I would say that 60% of the fleet are up here, but...
we got two of the top three already sort of engaging down on the pin. Imagine an MCC. So if you were the other boat up there, Ruffy, on the Moonin, you'd be quite happy to see those two already starting to play.
And Ruffy's up right up there at the boat end on the Moonin, with Sutek running as a bit of a buffer to leeward of them, Paulie. So
yeah, I don't know. It's Ruffy's old boat. There could be some others. Interesting.
Definitely some match racing in the pin. I think Nathan's held out MCC. It's worth noting MCC's got a drop of 22. So anyway, coming up to 17 seconds now.
It's sort of a bit of a strange one. You got two races. You'd think you'd just try and get away clean, wouldn't you, Pat? Not do this.
Well, we'll see how we go. 6 seconds. Everyone's looking pretty clear at the moment.
Looks like we've had a bit of a left shift off this start line, though.
There we go.
Great start from the Imey over down the pin.
Imagine's managed to get a port tack start through the gap there, so...
big left shift.
That's a really good start by Imagine signage.
And a port tacker from Phil Cook, he had to do one this season. He's waited till the last week. And here's the Moonin flicking out early as well.
We've got half the fleet now all sailing on port tack, going to the right. We've got the other half of the fleet going left at this stage. But like you mentioned there, Paulie, it's this initial breeze line is in the left.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like MCC on camera right now at the leeward end, going out to the left-hand side of the course, and he's got Imey just behind him. So there's your pack that's travelling out to the left-hand side of the course.
The red pumps, the black sails in the middle of the screen there, have done really well off the middle of that line. They've managed to hold their height, and I think they're going to be looking quite good when they come back.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paulie. I think they're a really nice spot there. So
sort of that mid-line looks really managed to hold their height, I suppose, the others, haven't they?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, both the red pumps looking pretty nice there. So I guess actually MCC just starting to cave now as they've hit that left-hand shore and now just putting a tack in. So I'd imagine they're all going to flop onto port tack as we speak.
Yeah, and the big problem is if you get caught in this left and you don't cross everybody, you've got to suck a bit of gas on the way out, as we can see here from the MCC, with the red pumps contingent, all three of them sort of giving them a bit of grief here.
Yeah, I think just looking up the course at the moment, to my eye, the right hand is paying here.
Right, I think there's been a right-hand shift come down sort of the Dobroyd shore along there. But I still think it's going to be tight. We've got a battle of two breezes here. Both port and starboard both seem high. We'll see which one caves into the other one.
Yeah, no, you're right. Particularly red pumps here on port tack. They're all starting to look a little bit better now. So we are going to see this cross very soon.
So the leaders from the right pack here we have is the Imagine signage, just getting in front of the red pumps red. We've got another bit of fun coming in with one of the Manly fast ferries. So
that was actually red pumps that crossed ahead of Imagine signage just there. So
yeah,
they're our leader at the moment.
It's just going to be about getting in phase with this breeze, I think, Pat. It seems to be flicking around a little bit. I think if you get it wrong, you're going to go backwards pretty fast.
Okay, Imagine signage is just tacked up there on the left, so going back to stick with the fleet. So if we think about the context of...
We'll just quickly take a look at the tracker that we've got and see where everyone's at. We'll get that up on the screen. We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that.
The gremlins are back.
New technology.
Here we go.
There it is.
Fang dangle technology. Here we go. So just trying to zoom in on that, but that red boat you can see on the screen, which was on the screen, yeah, that's red pumps. So they are really starting to launch out here, and they've picked up a nice breeze line from the left here, and they've lifted hard, and being the most left-hand boat, they are...
They're not far from the lay by the looks of it.
No.
I think
Looking up the course.
I think that left shift that came through just on the start cut, Jimmy, just made this you're going to spend a lot of time on port tack on this course. And, I mean, it's still quite tight. If we do get this shift back to the right, we'll bring some of those boats on the shore back into it. But I really like these guys out here. Looks like they've got a bit of a high line coming down to them. Especially the red pumps out here with the black sails. They've got a lovely gust that they're just about to catch the edge over, and I think they're going to extend away even further here.
Just off their hip, it's worth noting we've got MCC and Imagine signage, and MCC's just putting the squeeze on Imagine. They're really trying to sail a high mode to force Imagine to tack out of there, and so that's I think they're in a good spot. And it's also worth noting that Moonin Yachts is the furthest right-hand boat of this pack. So in terms of the context of this regatta, I've got to say MCC is in a good position right now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one for a lot of the guys out here who've sailed this southeast course at Manly. Generally, we do extend up towards South Head, and it's get into the left and you go across out there. But because it's halfway up, it might bring the right into play a little bit more than we expect, especially when you get a bit of tide coming out of Middle Harbour. It'll shoot you up towards the mark.
Yeah, definitely. All right, here's our live leaderboard. So
interestingly, we've got Moonin leading here I think it's because we've got this big left shift that's come through. They actually are closer to the mark, but I think they've got quite a bit more sailing to get there than the red pumps.
I'd agree with you there, Paulie. Yeah, I think it's going to... So let's see how they come back when they tack. But to me, red pumps is looking pretty solid up here with red pumps reds to lure to them.
Yeah, I think the red pumps, the two red pumps boats here are looking really, really nice. Just behind them off the screen, we do have the MCC and Imagine still in a bit of a squeeze battle.
Yes.
I find it strange from both of them when you're in the top three and you've got the bigger drop than the other boat that you're not just trying to clear, go hard. You know, if I had a 22 on my thing, I wouldn't be trying to slow somebody else down. I'd be trying to rock it to the front. I'm not quite sure about that manoeuvre.
I don't know.
They're smarter than me though, so I'll give it to them.
You've got to keep your throat. You got your foot on their throat. I reckon. It's they're in the inside pressure. They're in the lifted pressure. I think they're looking pretty good. So.
But if the boat that's only dropping a fourth and you get a fifth, they go ahead of you, don't they?
So here's on the screen, you can just see now, you can see that's our MCC on the left side, and then just to windward you've got Imagine. You can really see MCC, Kurt Hansen just really putting the squeeze on. And
you can see the guys bending there to try and squeeze as much height of the boat out as they can. It's sort of against the way the MCC sailed all year though, isn't it, Jimmy? They're low, fast through the water. They're consistently the quickest boat through the water. The high groove hasn't been their friend too much.
But they're actually really coming in quite nicely there. So, yeah, definitely they've managed to keep that high road. And to me, that left is just paid. So keeping that high road hasn't been a bad thing for them. In fact, they've really, at this stage, they're going to be looking pretty close on red pumps in my eye. All right, red pumps just tacking down the ley line. And they're going to have MCC, who I think is going to tack just in front of them. So they have done a brilliant job here. Serious leader and on the water leader, MCC rounding first, red pumps rounding second. So they are first and second, and it's going to be Imagine Signage is just going to be coming around third now.
Nice set on the red pumps there. They should roll over the top here.
Which they have.
And Imagine Signage just getting their shoot up now. Bit of a wine glass popped.
The IME,
just off screen, we've just had red pumps red, and then IME go around red pumps red in fourth, and then IME in fifth. I think IME may have infringed. No, they haven't. I thought they might have been. Yes, they have. So IME's actually just doing a penalty turn. They infringed on red pumps red, so they're doing a...
And in behind them, the Moonin just going round. Great set from them.
All right.
I think the Moonin will be happy with downwind finishes too, Jimmy. They're consistently the fastest boat downwind, aren't they?
They are, mate. They definitely
lightning.
Got it worked out going downhill.
That's my little friend Matty Stenner up the front with the banana fingers. He almost jumps off the boat when he pumps that chute.
And here's the live leaderboard again. So
yeah, we've got red pumps. Oh, the capsize there.
Is that my friend Steve Bowen going for a swim?
The botany scaffold. It sure is, mate.
Ah, Steve-o.
Here we go. The live leaderboard.
Okay, we've got red pumps red and modern concept construction. So they're our they're in the lead there now. So red pumps red is obviously rolled over MCC there, so that's pretty interesting. And then we've got Imagine Signage just hunting them down there in third. So it's a real battle between those two boats, really, up the front. And Moonin just sitting in fifth, so still in the hunt.
Yeah, I think it could be one of these days where the boat's a little bit further behind and there's going to be a bit of elastic that happens. You know, when they start competing with each other and trading tacks, you'll push up to the back of them, but it's always quite hard just to make that jump to get in front of somebody. You feel like you hit a wall sometimes once you get up to close to the guys, and you can sort of sail through a couple of them. The last ones are hard.
Now we're getting down to the bottom of the course here. It's a little lighter, hey? This is going to be a little bit more challenging down here, getting your angle right into the gate. we're just catching up to the leading pack here with MCC and Imagine, and just in front of these two guys is Red Pumps.
And it's an interesting situation coming into this jibe here. You can see the boats that are leading are really trying to soak away and get a bit of depth on the boats behind, because it does look like it's going to be a one jibe leg down. And if you don't get that depth, then the person behind's just going to jibe straight on top of you and roll you.
Well, I think you're right, and the breeze is bending around and here to get down, and if
they're almost going to make it in one.
At least it keeps them in the breeze line, right?
Yeah.
So Red Pump's done pretty good down this run, hey?
Yeah, really well. They've managed to soak a bit of depth. The two boats behind them seem to be, Nathan's here pushing a high mode coming into a jibe. I think that's just to try and put a bit of pressure on the MCC to not let them slow down too much and get that depth. So hopefully they can sneak a jibe in and roll over. I'm expecting everyone to do a right turn down the bottom here, Pat. It seems a little bit closer. It gets us back out, gets the boats out to the left-hand side again quickly.
Yeah, we'll see. We've just got the Red Pumps just jibing now, so they're going in for the gate. I think just behind them, Imagine's jibed and MCC have just done a silo jibe together. So
I think MCC and Imagine have jibed in a bit better pressure there too. I think they actually might struggle to get around this mark. We might see a bit of flogging, especially from the MCC here.
Well, at this point, I think MCC is going to be able to get to the right gate, whereas Red Pumps is going to have to go to the left gate based on their angle.
Yeah, and I think if they try and jibe here, the MCC is going to try and spin it round inside them.
Well,
we've got to change of course to port, is what's been displayed on the committee boat here at the bottom mark.
And we've had a change of leader here again. MCC getting inside running.
Bit of a quick drop there for Red Pumps, trying to clean up that spinnaker drop, but they've got it in pretty nice, and Imagine signage just there, and really tidy drop for them.
Really clean from Imagine, wasn't it?
Well, it's all tight with these guys, and they've just got to tough it out to this left a little bit for now, don't they?
Yeah, sort of tough it out, but if you get stuck over, well, as we saw last time, go into a big squeeze and see if you can get to that left pressure first. Seems to be the way to go.
We've just got Red Pumps red. Lammy just getting the chute in there, just ahead of Moon and Yachts. So Red Pumps red in fourth, Moon and Yachts in fifth. So Moon is still on the hunt here.
Whatever you're comfortable with, John.
They've managed to jump away that top three though.
How's the chasing pack behind here at the top right of screen?
Hey, there's an armada of boats coming through. Just got Altus going around right now.
It's
sixth.
The Iony just seemed to drop back into the pack a little bit there, which is a little bit surprising.
Yeah, they had to do a penalty turn up the top.
Ah, that's right. And I think once you get, as you can see with them there, they're stuck under four boats here. There's not much you can do. Once someone starts rolling you at this point, a few others are going to get over you pretty quick.
Davis Marine just rounded. Not the best rounding for the guys there. Nathan McNamara and the boys just in 8th place. So let's just get their chute sorted now.
It's one of your boats, isn't it, Pat?
Yeah.
They're rocking the Viracobi gear.
They are. They're a great bunch of guys, those guys. They also double up on the Smeg 18-foot skiff, so we get double bang for buck for them.
They had a win in the JJs in one of the heats.
They did, mate. Magical day.
They were very stoked when we spoke to them the following day.
Oh, a bit of few little rough drops going on here. It's in the fleet, so yeah, just a bit of everyone coming down under pressure, trying to get their chutes off has made life a little bit harder for them.
It's always funny when you have a look at it. The guys up the front make it look super easy, and as you come back, I know personally myself with these gates, even if you are one of the top boats, when you come in back in the pack, just the amount of boats there, and you don't, all the air gets sucked out of it by all the boats coming through. It is extremely difficult. Skippers lose steerage, and it's why the rich often get richer in these situations.
Well, it always helps to check your halliard on the run, doesn't it? All right, okay, so we're just picking up the drone here at the moment. We'll go and follow the action upwind, but we've got a pretty nice race on our hands here, guys.
Just to recap what we saw not on camera around the bottom here, it looks like the top three boats extended into the left and hit a bit of a hole, and the chasing two decided to tack out with pressure. So we've got a very similar situation to last time with the Moonin leading everybody light, are right in the low road, with the MCC and the Imagine up on the high line again. And it looks like the MCC and Imagine have got back into this left pressure. We are expecting to see, there are a few right-hand shifts coming at everybody now, which I think may compress this up a little bit.
Well, your mate Paulie, old Ruffy, he's gone hard right again, so he's got nothing to lose.
I'm not a big fan of it, unfortunately. I'm liking the left.
Yeah, well, look, he does have some wheels, the Moonin, he's got some wheels, so he's trying to let his boat speed do the talking, and, actually, I think he's actually made a bit of a gain, to be honest.
I definitely think he's made a gain. However, I think at the top end of this course, you want to be approaching on board. You don't want to be coming in on starboard. It looked like death up there last time.
Yeah, I think so.
And especially if we push the mark further left, you've got a bit more area to work with on this left-hand side. I'd be trying to get over there.
And if we're going to pan back to the Windward pack, just with Imagine and MCC, just interesting here, this is real good serious racing going on, Nathan knows that he's in the favoured side of the course. He's just sitting on MCC's line. It's not a comfortable line to be sailing, but he knows that that's where he needs to be to not bleed any points. So, it really does come down to the points here.
Yeah. I mean, if you get a second in this one, you're still in the hunt on the next one, aren't you? You don't want to try and win it in this one.
We're just coming past the 13s that are coming downhill for the first time, with the kitchen maker leading from Red Pumps, which is Sophie Hart and Bella DeVola on that boat today.
Fantastic.
Then Buck and Simple. That's a very hard one to say. And then you've got the Harkin in fourth currently for the 13s. So
wow. So Taylor Lee's on Kitchen Maker and Olivia Barrett got a nice lead, hey?
Just want to go back to, that's one of the greatest boat names I've ever heard. I'm not even going to try it. Lockie Jensen and Max Barrett there. That's amazing.
You really do have to think it before you say it.
And I'm not very good at that, Jimmy. It looks like with this mark that got moved here, looks like they've shortened it a tiny bit too.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we see there, the MCC, they've still got a little port tack left to go, but they've just kind of gone out, locked away a couple of the others.
Yeah, that's interesting with this mark shifted to the left. Actually, I think that those guys only just saw this mark late, to be honest, because I think a lot of these guys are further right than they probably would have liked to be.
Yeah.
And what's actually happened just off screen is that MCC have allowed Imagine to tack early and get off to the left. So there has been a bit of separation created between MCC and Imagine signage. So that'll be interesting to see what happens when they come back together. I still think MCC is looking pretty good.
I still think MCC will lead, but I think they'll close up a little bit.
Well, there's the live leaderboard back up on the screen for all the viewers.
Very good. So we've got Modern Concept Constructions with Red Pumps, and then Moonin on the tracker in third. He's definitely coming through the field, but I can't see him. I'm not entirely sure.
Still got one more work to go, Pat. Never write him off.
Never write him off. Never write him off. We'll see.
Imagine's just done a horrible take and lost somebody overboard.
Okay, we've got Imagine they've had a bad tack and someone's come off the boat. They've just had to stop and regroup, so that's a costly mistake for them.
MCC have boat wash and slowed right down and that shot there.
So MCC's got the advantage now, and a bit of wash they had to get through off the ferry, but their lead has just extended quite a lot now. They're looking real solid. So there's Imagine overlaid as well. They're really overlaid.
It's what we often see from the MCC when they do get to the front. They have got wheels upwind, and they will extend away if they can get two on wire and sail their own groove. It's sort of what we saw up here, and they're super consistent in all their manoeuvres. Put a lot of time into it this year.
All right, Spinnaker's up. They're off. So they've got a really handy lead now.
Yeah, really what seems to have happened is the Red Pumps and the Imagine have dropped back to the Moonin, whereas the MCC sort of kept that distance from the Moonin standard.
All right, so Imagine had to take the stern of Red Pumps, so Red Pumps into second now. Imagine really reeling from their mistake earlier. So now they've slipped back to third. And our mates on Moonin, hanging in there. That's had a good beat. They've picked up a spot here, so they're in fourth place now. Let's see what they can do on this run.
We'll just keep chipping away, I think, the guys, and then try and look for an opportunity. Hopefully they don't go right up the next work again, but we'll just see how they go.
Good set. Good set from the boys.
The crew work on the Moonin is second to none. It's sort of them and the Army have set the standard for quite a few years in terms of crew work.
Yeah, just behind them we've got the Red Pumps Red, so that rounds out our top six.
Yeah,
top five.
There's a bit of a gap back to the next ones, aren't they?
Which would be probably Davis Marine and the Bartley Construction along with Sutec and IME.
Yeah, IME seems to have pushed through to the front of that group as we expected. It just shows one little mistake puts you back in that pack, and then you're chasing, and there's not enough runway to push back up to the front really for those guys.
Modern Concept really got a big header there.
Yeah.
They're in pressure and bow down, so they're in a bit of a newer breeze line.
I wouldn't mind seeing one of these trailing boats do a bit of an earlier jibe out down this run. It seems as they come down into the bay, the breeze doesn't sort of clock further left. So if you can do a port approach on it, it might suit you a little bit more. Yeah, you can see Red Pumps there now starting to bend down as well as they push further in.
Yeah, it's a hard jibe to jibe off, I think.
Yeah.
But mind you, saying that, we've seen Red Pumps Red just behind us off screen doing exactly what you suggested.
We'll see how my theory goes.
Oh yeah, exactly. They're definitely in pressure, but it's definitely tricky on these runs. Hey, it's this bottom part of the course is challenging.
Yeah, it seems to be one of these days, if you go around with a good path, you can almost link it up all the way down. And we just see the depth that the MCC got from their one. Everyone came round in a little bit less, and they just seem to be stuck up a little bit higher.
Yeah, Imagine Sign is just starting to get a little bit of a header now too, so they're all starting to fall down on the same line as Red Pumps and MCC.
It's almost like they're chasing the mark as they come down, and then you've got to jibe back and sail away from it again.
Actually, if you look behind the fleet, there's actually quite a big bunch that have all opted to go onto Port Jibe early and see if they can keep the breeze line all the way down to the bottom. And
well, I think you're just staying out in that main pressure that's out in the heads a little bit longer too.
That's right. So it's a real trade-off between the angle gain and pressure.
Yeah. Which is the bit that I really like about sailing these, asymmetric shoots on hot dog courses. Everyone always thinks about the tactics upwind quite a lot. There's just as much happening going downhill.
Sure is. There's going to be some gains to be made down the bottom here. Okay, so Red Pumps is on a lay, probably to the left mark, and MCC also this stage all looking like they get down to the gate pretty nicely.
I'm still expecting a right-hand turn down here, I think, Pat. I think, this left's been paying upwind every time, so...
Yeah, they're just sailing into new pressure there at the moment. So, MCC looks like they're going to take your advice and go to the right mark.
Just, as I look back up out the window, we have got a new pressure line pushing down from the right-hand side that has brought the chasing pack right back into this. The IME has been the big benefactor of it. They're coming down hard two-string. I wouldn't be surprised if we see people tack out a little bit early here, especially these leaders. And then also the Moonin coming on a super hot one as they got hit with that pressure lake.
All right, there we go. We've got Red Pumps just there in second, getting their shoot in, and Moonin
we're about
now into third.
Put Matty Stenner to the test. Get it in there, buddy.
Mate, he's put him under pressure there, but, mate, look at that. Eats it.
Yeah.
Eats it up for breakfast. So we've got a split there. We've got Moonin in third going left as we look upwind, and Imagine Signage going right. And Red Pumps Red made a really nice game.
Yeah, and the boat behind them with the orange spinnaker is Imey, coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
That jibe early seemed to pay big for a lot of these boats, eh?
Oh, mate. You're an oracle, Paulie. Fantastic. So, yeah, Imey, the big mover in this. I'd say Imey and Red Pump's Red on that run probably made the biggest gains. And like you mentioned, they brought that new breeze line down.
Yeah, and the Sutek, I mean, it's impressive for the Sutek and the Davis Marine here. They've also hung in with the Imey down that run, which I think is just good in itself. Bit of a scrappy drop there from Josh. Maybe if that bloke did some training, it'd be a little bit better.
I'm staying out of that one, Paulie.
That's a bit harsh.
Hey, when you work for the sponsor of their boat, you can say what you want.
But interesting enough,
It's still going.
while we're all watching Josh still trying to pack the sheet, Josh, isn't it?
That's Mikey. We've
That's
seen
Mikey?
Sheehan jumps on the sheet and Mikey goes and finishes it off.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, the boat never goes faster.
Imagine signage that went to the other mark. They've tacked back to come back and re-engage with red pumps just at the top of screen.
I've got a strange... It feels like there's a lot of ferries coming through today. More than usual. And I think we've got the Rogue one that did a tour of Fairlight earlier. Luckily, he looks like he's going to sail around the back of the fleet.
He's a good skipper. Well, it's a glamour day, so I'm not surprised. They'll be all going to Manly today, so...
It's probably kicked a little bit in this last little bit, hasn't it? We've got an extra 2 or 3 knots. We'll see the guys doing full stretch now.
Definitely. Now, that breeze line was pretty solid, so they're all favouring the left-hand side of the course now.
But to me, it looks like there's more pressure in the right. I don't know if it's optical, but this could be the time.
That's because Ruffy's gone to the left this time on the noon.
It is correct. But it does look like a little bit more of a traditional sou'easter here, the way this breeze is filtering down through the bay.
Yeah.
It looks like the Moonin and the Imagine coming close here. Duck on the Moonin. Imagine, sorry.
Yeah, I think Moonan's doing a pretty nice job. He's chipped away, hasn't he? He's got himself back in contention.
I'm happy to see that he's pulled his vang on this week. I'm very, very happy.
Okay, just imagine signage on screen.
It just looks like looking for a hot one coming out of the quarantine station.
It's a bit of a better tack this time. So they're just stacked up here on the left-hand side. So
and you can see the MCC's actually got back onto starboard to come across and cover them, try and reduce the risk of, a bit of a wind change and making big gains. MCC sailed really well trying to block this whole fleet in.
definitely, I agree with you. They've started a good race so far, MCC. They've kept their nose clean. And, they've got a nice lead just over Red Pumps at the moment. And I think it's a line ball between Imagine Signage and Moonin at this stage for fourth or third.
Yeah. Just staying between their competitors and the next mark. If you do that, they can't pass you. So it's really consistent sailing, which is something that we've seen a few times. They like to take a few risks, and it's very, very impressive at the moment. Sort of just choosing when to tack when they want to, but still kind of keep the guys tucked away where they need them.
Definitely a breeze increase here, I think we're now sort of in the 12 to 14 knots at the moment. So
we got our next cross between Imagine and Moonin about to occur. Looks like Moonin's grabbed one back.
And going what we think is the right way. So Moonin Yacht's in a pretty nice spot. Back onto MCC. You can see keeping a cover on Red Pumps.
Yeah, just a nice loose cover there. Protect the left. We'll let you go right as much as we want, but if you try and go left, we're going to smack you in the face.
Just in the 13s that we're just passing as we're coming up, the kitchen maker has extended their lead with Harkin moving into second place. I think that should almost be good enough to wrap things up for the Harkin team.
I had a chat to Orlando beforehand. He said, I think he said he had to get a fourth in his first one, and he's got it.
There you go.
So,
see how good am I with maths, Paulie?
First time for everything, Jimmy. But they've been the class act, the Harkin, throughout the year. Heidi and Orlando, I think it's their second year together, isn't it? Second or third, but they've almost been untouchable.
Yeah, they're a real class act, and I'm super keen to see them start to think about stepping up to the 16s. And
I got to sail with Orlando the other day on the Moonin. Ruffy got me fill in because it was windy enough. And very, very talented sailors. Very good discussion. Looks at the breeze in a very nice way, and I was very impressed. Up the front here, though, the red pump seems to have sort of turned the afterburners on and got a bit bow forward here. I don't know if it's been a slight right shift or something, but I think this has gotten a bit closer up the front here.
Yeah, I think MCC is going to plant one on them on this lay, so...
Yeah. I think you'd go real tight on them here, wouldn't you, and make it hard for them to make the mark. They've also got the interesting part, off screen, you can't see it, but there's about 413s going around this mark at the moment too. So they can act like a bit of a speed bump in the difference in speed downwind, and how they negotiate their way through can often give you an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so both boats slightly overlaid, just coming into the top mark now. So MCC with about a 3 or 4 boat length advantage over red pumps. So it's selling a pretty nice race, the MCC. And just red pumps rounding now in second place.
And then just behind them, the Imagine didn't quite make it to lay, so I've got 2 more tacks. They did cross the Moonin by a good margin on the last one, so it should be still quite close.
Just interesting, I imagine. They were sailing a pretty nice race, and then they just had that one tack, and I just feel like the wheels have fallen off a bit. They've got a bit of a wobble going, so they've just made a few uncharacteristic mistakes since then in terms of boat positioning. So obviously still sitting in third place, but they've lost a lot of advantage from red pumps and MCC. And Moonin Yachts just rounding there in fourth place. So been a bit of a separation, hey, Paulie?
Yeah. It just seems that the 2 boats out front have got real wheels upwind. And I think that's really playing into their hands. Whereas the Moonin's hanging in it with their downhill speed and they're just fading up every run. And as you said, that bad tack on Imagine, they just probably missed the line they wanted to tack in at that time. And then the thing goes.
Oh, okay, we've got a little luffing match going on here. So Imagine Signage just gave Moonin Yachts a bit of a luff. Sure, there might have been a bit of a few conversations had. But Imagine's jived off, so we've got a separation as a result. Be interested to see if there is any incident there that might require red flags, but we'll see.
Well, I don't think there was. I think there was a lot of separation between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
We all know Nathan likes to push it to the limits, and I know that there are some other people, mainly the guy sitting at the back of the Moon, who doesn't like to get pushed around. So,
okay, so Moonin's covered, going to jibe.
Yeah,
Stay in touch with Imagine.
I think the Moonin's plan here will be to try and jibe back on top of them, back their boat handling and boat speed down this run, and then lock them away and get a third, which, for a bit there, they looked like they were in 5th or 6th, so they've got to be happy with that. It would just be, keep both of these boats really in the race with the MCC going into the next one.
Well, MCC would be pretty happy to have a boat in between these 2 guys, right? So
this is the dream for the MCC,
exactly.
Isn't it?
They can win this race and keep red pumps ahead of them. So we're just coming down to the finish now, so it's looking like that's going to work perfectly for them. So
as we saw here on screen, though, we can see the Moonin doing as we expected, just jibe slightly above and bow forward.
Okay, just coming to the leaders now. So that's MCC ahead just on the final lay to the finish with red pumps behind them. So I think it's all she wrote from here for MCC.
So yeah, the MCC sailed the second half of this race extremely well. Got to the lead, got a little bit of a gap, enough that you can defend downwind, and then just stayed in front of everybody. Stay between everybody in the next mark, which is sort of what you get taught when you're a junior, isn't it?
Sure is.
Simplify the race course. So they're just crossing now. Red Pumps shortly in behind.
Good result for Red Pumps. They started a good race, eh? They were very impressive today. Their black sails.
Yeah, new black sails. We haven't seen them before. Still got the True Flow badges on them though.
Pay to play. Got to have the good kit. But they definitely had some wheels, so that was pretty impressive there for Red Pumps.
This race for third, which is going to get quite interesting. The Moonin managed to soak over the Imagine and force them into another jibe, which has caused a big split. It looks like the Moonin's pushing out to the starboard lay, whereas Imagine's sort of laying through to the pin at the moment. This could be extremely close. I think we might see, I'd say advantage Imagine here.
Oh, it's going to be close. I tell you what, it's probably, yeah, I agree with you, because the boat end's slightly biased on this finish line here. But I think you're right. Imagine's going to cross ahead now pretty comfortably. So
yeah, it's a really nice sailing from the Imagine guys down the bottom of that course. Sort of, I think they realised what the Moonin was going to try and do, and managed to sort of not engage too much, which I think would have been their plan, especially with the boat behind.
all right, so Moonin's going to take a 4th place there for them. And just behind them, we've got a battle with Red Pumps Red and the fast charging Imey really coming through the fleet. But I think Red Pumps Red's going to get this one. So 5th for Red Pumps, 6th for Imey. Red Pumps Red, I should say.
I think it's a really good result for these boats. Sort of a new combination on each of them. And especially on the 16, the changing up one of the sheet hand or the forward hand really makes a difference in manoeuvres, because they're so fine. That timing of how you go across can just a little bit out makes life a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it sure does.
Another one of yours, Davis Marine, coming in here.
7th place. So
Well done.
that started a good race, because they were fairly deep earlier on in the race. So well done to Nathan McNamara and crew.
And then we've Altus Consulting coming in next.
Eighth place for Altus, followed by Sutek in 9th place.
I think Josh should go back and have a look at that drop of his, and he might realise why they dropped a couple on that last lap.
Josh must be looking forward to this off-season, Paulie. It's all right to sit here and throw stones at the poor kid.
He can take it.
Here comes the Bartley Constructions on screen.
The Bartley, I was supposed to be sailing with them today. They gave me a call on Tuesday and said it looked a bit too light and they didn't want a fat kid in the middle. So I got ease for a younger, fitter person.
Smart move on their behalf, I think, Paul.
I think it was a smart move on my behalf to make the phone call. Next coming in, the Shebang. Always consistent around about this 10th mark. As this breeze kicks, we'll sort of see them push a bit further forward. Coming in as well with the Husqvarna 13, the Fluid, and the Noakes 13. Seems to be a bit of a big gap back from here, doesn't it, Jimmy?
It does look like a relatively big gap, but
this is the contemporary pools.
yeah, with Daryl Millam steering it, I believe, today, with Tom Millam up the bow.
And have they got Saint?
And there's the top 12 results on screen.
Okay, well, I've got some points updates here going into the last race. So, yeah, pretty. I think that was a pretty good result for NCC. I think we all agree that that really puts them in the box seat going into this last race. So, here's the points as it reads now after race 7. We've got MCC in first place on 13 points, and then we've got both Moonin and Imagine sitting tied for second on 17 points. So 4-point advantage there. And Then we've got Red Pumps in 22 points in fourth, IME, and also Red Pumps Red tied on 26. So 4-point advantage there for MCC.
Yeah.
Just not on the screen, but heading back towards the beach and in the moorings is Red Pumps Red at the moment. So hopefully whatever damage they've got or whatever they're going to do, they can get back out of here quickly before the commencement of the next race.
Just looking at those points there, Pat, the red pumps going in is even more of an advantage to MCC because these guys have got to get boats in between them now, and if you take away a quality boat from the front of the fleet, it makes it more difficult. And especially when they've had 2 firsts now, you know, the other blokes are going to have to get, only Imagine can beat them on a countback. So
and there's Red Pumps Red was heading in.
It's a 4-point lead, so you've got to put 4 boats in between them.
Yeah, and given that the breeze has increased, it's steadied out a bit here, it's going to be really hard to get boats in between to make up the points difference.
I think if there's one person who can really put them off their game, though, it is Nathan Wilmot. He is very good at this pre-start, trying to push people around. I think I've only ever seen Lee get the better of him in it. And if he can do that, he might try and sail them to the back of the fleet and then try and hope they get back through. It's really their only hope in this situation, I think.
Well, and, you know, like, let's remind everyone that, you know, MCC's drop is at 20 seconds. So, you know, look, the problem for Nathan with that strategy is you've got Moon and Yachts sitting tied for points. So, you know, you can't just match race someone to the back of the fleet when you've got the other guy.
Well, I think we're just going to see him engage with him early on the start line.
Well, we just got to capsize there.
There's your boss again.
Oh, is that Captain Steve-O?
Captain Snorkel Steve-O.
Just to give everybody a heads up, he told me during the week he only wanted to do 1 race, and I think this is tactics coming to fruition. He always says he's a 1-race man these days. However, Georgia, I think, was doing very well in the point score, so she might try and push him through. But a capsize like that, pulling the chute and everything, it really sucks the life out of you. It's hard to get your head back in the game.
So in terms of club championships, you guys being Manly 16ft Skiff royalty,
I've never won anything. I'm good at coming second, Pat.
Has Kurt Hansen, Chris Williams or Jackson Cranfield won a club championship before?
Jackson definitely has on the fluid.
Yeah,
back in the day.
I don't think Chris Williams or Kurt will have.
No, they won a States.
Yeah, and at the Nationals this year, was it this year? They were looking very, very good early.
Very good early on, and then, yeah, not so good. Things just didn't fall their way in the Nationals in the back end, unfortunately.
And as a young bloke who sailed here my whole life, you know, you win the clubby, you get your photo above the bar as you walk in the door. It's the fluid boat was there for quite a while whilst we were sailing, wasn't it? We'd beat them at everything else, and they'd come and touch us up in the club championship every year.
Well, back when we were racing the fluid, Paulie, we tend to have a nor'easter every club championship heat, and it took us nearly 2 seasons to come up with a way to beat fluid on a nor'east course. It was so hectic trying to chase Clint and Ant and Steve and then Jackson down on that course.
And Brent.
And Brent, sorry, I forgot about Breno.
But it was just the way that they sailed the boat, wasn't it? Just that high, nice squeeze that just worked with the nor'easter where they got the high gusts the whole time.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to sail that boat to get past them was always the hard part.
Came down to a lot of training.
Well, it'd be pretty.
Training.
Well, it'd be pretty fitting for them to take out the club championship, considering they had probably not the ideal nationals that they wanted to finish it at. So
I'm a bit hesitant to say too much because this commentator's curse thing I've seen come into play a lot. But, you know, you can say somebody's got it in the bag, and it's possibly the worst thing you can say about it.
Yeah, well, you know, anything can happen in this sport. So
I'm just looking forward to a bit of kung fu on this start between a couple of these boats. I think we're going to see Nathan have a real crack at trying to push them over early or trying to get a penalty on them.
Yeah, our camera crew here are getting themselves ready to spot some of these little match races going on in the pre-start, so we'll certainly keep an eye out for that.
So we've got one boat still coming down to the finish, the Mighty Typhoon. Looks like they're soaking pretty hard. But once they finish, probably be a little bit of time before we go back into sequence.
Young Mark, it's up the bow on the Typhoon today. Has never been on trapeze before, so bit of a baptism of fire for the guys on the Typhoon. But you got to start somewhere, and jumping in and having a go, the only way to figure out if you can do it or not.
Good on him. That's great. Great stuff. And just botany access just on screen there. Just getting themselves ready. Ryan Wilmot on the helm today, so bit of a sub. Giving us a wave, so he's a happy camp, having a good time out here today.
He'll enjoy a bit fresher conditions. If there's anybody that can send one of these 16s to the limit, it's him.
Sure is.
I've never seen anybody cavitate a rudder as much as that kid in my whole life. He pulls on it so hard when he wants it to go somewhere. It's crazy.
Well, you should see him on a wing foil, mate. Tell you what, he's got some wheels.
Yeah. What was his one? They had the... Can't remember.
What are you trying to...
When he was sailing the 16s with...
Growthville. Yeah, Will Dargaville and...
The two big boys up the front.
Yep.
And they were probably the only boat that beat Ruffy downwind, I think.
I'm just trying to keep an eye out to see if Red Pumps Red are going to get back out here, but at this stage I don't see them in the vicinity of the...
I can still see them on the beach over there.
Yep.
It doesn't look like they've taken the boat up to the grass on the beach, though. Actually, it looks like they're sailing back out. Straight over the pin boat.
Yes, I can see that now you mention it, the red sail. Well, you never know. They've got some time, so fingers crossed. We'll see them back out here.
We're just zooming in. I think they're still on the beach.
Well, while we've got a little bit of time to kill, not much, the 13-foot skiffs, looks like we're going to go into sequence here shortly. Just back to the 13-foot skiffs, the Belmont Club have confirmed that they're going to have 4 next season, possibly 5.
Amazing.
So that's an awesome start. And the Manly Club's looking at this stage building 5 to 6 new 13-foot skiffs, so that class is just going from strength to strength.
Are we selling some of ours to Belmont, are we?
No, I don't think so, Paulie, but don't start trying to pick a battle that you can't win.
No, I think it's amazing. I was up there a couple of weeks ago, and the amount of juniors they've got up there that they've managed, that they've got sailing boats, giving them a pathway into the 13. We're really seeing at Manly them come through the 13s and progress into the 16s, which is what their goal is of the 13-foot skiff. I mean, initially we had a couple come through, but there's now a really good, strong number of 13-foot skiff sailors in the 16s, almost taking up about a third of the fleet now.
Well, if you're a kid, wouldn't you want to sail them? Like, how much fun is it? And this is what it's about. Like, for me, I think it's a great thing they're doing for the sport, making the sport accessible, to particularly get kids this age into the sport and transition them into the 16s. I think it's vital. It's a great initiative and deserves more support, frankly, in my opinion.
What are you saying, Pat? No, Pat does more than his fair share.
Are we seeing a buy a Kobe 13-foot skiff next year or something?
I wish so.
Cue the emails on Monday morning.
Yeah,
they're relentless.
Attention, Paul McKenzie. But I wish they were around in my day. Like, we went from flying 11s straight into the 16s, and I was sort of lucky, without trying to show my age, that the 16s used to still have a fourth hand back then. And
you're old enough.
It wasn't 1965.
And that's how I sort of got my start in it. But the first 16 that I sailed was 3 up. So I was under 18 in the bow of a 16, and it was quite daunting when you're racing against the calibre of people back then, like Brunnages and Foot, the Pirates, and all those guys.
Some of them are still sailing down here too. We got Fast Eddie, who would have been knocking around then.
Oh, mate, he was already a well-established team when I got into it.
He'd probably come second 3 times by that stage, hadn't he?
I think so.
I think the good thing about the 13s, though, is they're developing their own little community. And when they are coming to the 16s, they're not expecting to win straight away. You know, a lot of the juniors come out of the Flying 11s who are the rock stars, and you jump into a 16 and you get flogged because they are such a different boat. But it gives you that time and you get to engage with the 16s a little bit and you see it, and then, you know, the really good guys can jump on and they'll run top 10 or so, and then they push their way up to the front, and they can do it with their mates. You know, if you've got a group coming through, it helps out significantly.
Yeah, it's a great pathway, isn't it? You know, look at Orlando. He'll transition to 16 really nicely, and you know, by doing all the same regattas together, they all get to know each other, and
Yeah.
and you know, let's face it, getting some good young guys on the wood, you know, it does pay to have a pretty nice fast sky on the helm of these boats. So,
Well, that was the thing. When you have a look at the way these boats work, sort of, we've got two guys on trapeze. Having a nice light skipper is something that's a big advantage. The smaller the skipper, the bigger the crew.
Okay, I do have an update on Red Pumps Red. They are making their way back out, so that's great news that they will get just on screen now. You can just see them coming through the moorings. Will they get here in time? Well, I think we haven't had the 5-minute go off yet, so I think they're looking good.
About 30 seconds off the 5-minute.
Yeah, so that's good news.
We
So
might just pan round to the right here. We've got the Imagine just having a little bit of a swim before the start. Not sure what's happened here.
bit of rig tuning.
No, it doesn't quite look like that. It's not the best way to start with a spinnaker full of water.
Oh, they're just washing their gold medals.
Well, it's just, I mean, I don't know if they did it on purpose or something like that, but a wet spinnaker means you've got to carry all that weight upwind, and then that first set's always just a little bit harder. And we saw how important those sets were around the first mark last time.
Well, like you predict, what's going to happen here? What's our little match race that may emerge here? Moon and Yachts and MCC are going to keep their eyes peeled for any potential disturbance pre-start. I know what I'd be doing if I'm on MCC. I'd be getting over to the right-hand side of the start line.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be getting chased out to that port end.
Coffin corner, we call it match racing, but we'll see. Anyway, here we go. So we're just gone past 4 minutes now, and yeah, Red Pumps Reds made it back out in the starting area, so that's good news.
It's kind of interesting as well for the MCC in terms of tactically going above the start line like that too, you know. As you said, you don't want to get down the pin end and you don't want to be above it because they'll just hold you up above it for as long as they can, especially when you're carrying a 22. But they made it back nice and easy, and it looks like they're going to round the pin here and come back this way.
Well, off screen I can see Imagine signage. He's certainly going for a bit of a hunt.
That was my first thought there too.
Here we go, just coming to the screen now. He's Nathan's certainly trying to find some victims. And yeah, sure enough, MCC sitting on port tack coming at them. So here we go. So there'll be a little bit of a convergence just in the middle of the line coming up right now. You can just see here. And at this stage, maybe not engaging, but let's see.
It's just a little bit interesting, isn't it? We'll see if they do a bit of cat and mouse. I mean, we could have another situation that plays out where they go, hey, the MCC's too far ahead, and the Moon and the Imagine just have their own little private battle and let them sail off into the distance.
I don't think the mindset on that boat would be that called somehow.
Hey, they've got the calming influence of Mal on the boat today.
Well, could be the other strategy, could be just to go for the win for Imagine and see what happens behind them.
Yeah. It's a good strategy, I think.
So just past 2 minutes before the start. So breeze here, Paulie, pretty similar to the end of the last race, sitting at that sort of 12 to 14 knots.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not even 14.
It looks like when it first came through, halfway through that race, that big puff, it's just backed off a tiny bit from that, I reckon. I think once we get out a bit further, we're going to have some good breeze.
Okay, so we're starting to see a build up of the fleet here at the boat end of the line. Imagine Signage is right down at the pin end, the most pin end boat. So
Port Tacker.
Could be a Port Tack approach lining up for them. So it could be going for rocks or diamonds here.
High risk, high reward.
And just trying to spot where Moonin
Moonin are right out the back of the boat here.
Yep.
Pat.
Moonin are just up here at the middle of the pack.
MCC's lined them up extremely well for this boat, I think.
Yes. Yeah, MCC definitely going for the boat end at this stage. So Imagine Signage on Port Tack out at the port end going for a Port Tack start. So this will be really interesting to see what happens at the pin end.
And a Manly Queenscliff freshwater class ferry just leaving the wharf in the background, which will...
Port Tack started. Make that even better, I reckon.
You can't see on screen yet, but just the weather of that pin end boat is Imagine Signage. So there we go, just panning out now. You can see Imagine Signage lining up for the Port Tack approach. I'm not so sure they're going to get that in.
I don't think this is going to be the best option.
And here we go, 2, 1.
Oh, some boats over for sure.
Mid-line, wasn't it? Red pumps.
We've got an individual, so we think red pumps.
Red pumps, red and shebang.
Red pumps, red and shebang.
Lovely start from the MCC at the top end of the line with the red pumps above them.
And Imagine Signage just taking all the sterns here, going all the way over, taking everyone's stern to get to the right side. So we'll see how that pans out for them. And actually not a bad start from Moon and Yachts.
Yeah, I think that it looked quite bad early because they had those 2 early starters in front of them. And they've peeled out. Now they've got some nice clear air.
So we can confirm that Shebang and Red Pumps Red have returned.
We're just waiting. There must have been someone else. Oh, no.
That was it.
clear.
All clear.
Individual down, so everybody's back in play.
All right, well, that was interesting. Rocks or diamonds, so...
Well, he's got some clear air.
He has, yep.
And he's getting to sail his own race. Putting a bit of thought in everyone's heads as well. So they've done all right there. The leader on the race course, though, the MCC and the Red Pumps.
But Queenscliff Ferry is going to cause some disturbance for MCC.
Freshwater class ferry, Queenscliff, I'm sure it's called.
Thank you for that clarification, James.
There we go. But yeah, that's the one ferry that you can't muscle around, but you see, or not, they won't see on screen, but the fast ferry is sort of just waiting patiently back behind everyone to find a hole to
We've got a
jump
few
through.
different strategies on how to deal with this ferry coming through. We saw the MCC and the Red Pumps, they've chosen to go directly through it. You know, often in my mind it's always better to do it perpendicular than trying to run sideways to it. Whereas the others have tried to chase, sort of run with it a bit further out, and are sort of hoping that they can then cross a bit further behind it before they get the wind shadow coming over the top. So hope the sort of Moonin and the boats heading in Imey are hoping that the ferry takes a left turn like it often does, so that they can get a bit more distance and not be as affected.
Yeah, no, good description. I agree. And I think, to my eye, they're looking pretty good. But you can never discount this left, can you? You know, can get a lift from heaven out here. But definitely, both those ferries have caused a big disturbance in the fleet.
Yeah.
And if you're in the middle where Imagine Signage is, she's not a pretty place right at this moment.
Yeah, I'm still liking the left.
Yeah. So you can just see on screen, you've got Moon and Yachts and Imey have tacked off Dobroy there on starboard. So to me, they are our current leaders, but we're just going to have to see how MCC comes out of the left, who is the most left boat. We'll pan to them shortly, but you'll see the weather of Red Pumps. We've got MCC, and they're well up in the left. So I think it's come good for them, hey, Paulie?
Yeah, I think it's come really nicely. They've got a nice bit of pressure coming over their shoulder too. We're about to see them possibly take a little lift here. Otherwise, they're going to have to sail a hole and run away to the next one. And then I think it'll be very close with Moonan. A little squeeze there from the MCC. They would have hooked into this nice left-hand line.
It's not for the faint-hearted, though, is it? You know, like they had to really commit to that left and you had to get around that ferry and then just have the patience to finally get into that right, or the left pressure, I should say. But
it's a bit where you go behind the ferry and you go through the bumps and you're just waiting for the pressure to come back.
Okay, Moon and Yachts just tacked to leeward of MCCs with Imey on starboard tack. Probably Imey's got the advantage here at the moment.
They've got a nice right-hander out there, haven't they?
Yeah. Joel Beashall, Trev Barnabas and Flynn Toomey today. So Joel's got plenty of talent. And, you know, in that first race, they were pretty unlucky. Well, obviously unlucky. They hit the top mark and had their turns, but they came back pretty well. So
he seems pretty composed for a young bloke, doesn't he?
Yeah. Ice in his veins.
Yeah. He's been lucky enough to have two of the best in front of him for his first year in the class. But you've still got to point in the right direction.
Yeah, but no, they're going quite nicely here. So they're punching out to the left, past that fast ferry. And to my eye, there's good pressure out here into the left. So it's looking really nice. So
just sailing their own race. We're seeing a lot of boats get caught up with each other and slowing each other down.
Yep.
Clear air, sail your own modes, and see if you can get a jump on the rest of the fleet.
You can see on screen now Moon and Yachts, the most lured boat of that pack to leeward of MCC, and then the most weather boat and that lead pack is Imey, which we're just on screen now. So
Imey's just linked together two very good lifts too, haven't they?
Yeah, they could have a pretty good lead here if this next little left breeze line increases and lifts. They'll get a nice advantage. So good to see the Australian champions having a good final race of the season.
They've definitely extended away a little bit, and we can see with the two trailing boats in the MCC and Moonan, the MCC's still just got this massive speed advantage on the Moon and Upwind. They were bow to bow before that tack. Now they've got a good 3 or 4 boat lengths lead.
Davis Marine coming right into it.
Yeah, he did well out of the left-hand side. I feel like MCC just for about 10 boat lengths there, we're just under pressure and probably haven't tacked on the best angle, but they're taking their medicine to get themselves to the left. So, you know, for MCC, it's pretty simple here. They just got to keep themselves. So they're just going to keep themselves in the pack here, and you know, look, if Moonan does get ahead of them, they've just got to be right behind them.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to plant one on Moonan, I can tell you.
Yeah. I think they'll just be trying to stay clean as much as possible, and if they stay in the top 3, they win. So that's simple. It's getting a bit sloppier out here though now, Jimmy, as you're driving this thing, isn't it?
What, my driving or the seaway?
The seaway.
Probably just been a lot of ferry traffic, and I think there's a game fishing event on offshore, so there's a lot of big game boats racing back in, which they have times that they have to be back by
and
for a weigh-in, so they go full noise.
Is it because the gin runs out at a certain time?
Here we go. We're about to see how... he's actually been quite nice, Kurt, in these situations, isn't he? We saw it in the last race. He's not doing tight tacks on top of people. He just comes out and parallels them with a nice loose cover.
Well, I think it really likes that left off this point here, you know, and actually this beat's a lot longer than the previous race. We've got a longer upwind course here, so I think...
Not really a short course, is it? It's almost out where the top mark is in a normal sou'easter.
I would say that this length, the course length, has got to be another third longer than the previous race.
At least, yeah.
So I would say a slight gain to MCC on Imey there. I think Imey let them get too far to the left and they've made a gain. And like you mentioned, MCC have got some definitely some good boat speed. Upwind.
Yeah, I think the Imey's pretty quick, slippery uphill too. A bit of extra weight in the front, I believe, with Flynn Toomey up there compared to Robbie. And as they start getting two-string, that extra weight especially when you've got a little jockey on the back. It really helps you.
Yeah, they look good, these guys, don't they?
Yeah. Where do they get their gear from, Pat?
Actually, funnily enough, you know, Trent, I've known Trent a long time, and he was the first guy that kind of said, come on, Pat, time to start making some sailing gear, because we were obviously started off that brand in paddling gear, and yeah, Trent really encouraged us to kind of have a go. So yeah, they are, you know, the Army and before that, the Manly Surf and Slide was the first Vycobie boat, and then young Alex Chittenden had a great skiff. He's on board today, running the controls, and he had one, so we named that Vycobie, and the rest was history. Good fun. All right, I reckon we've got another couple of extra knots of breeze and a bigger seaway out here now, guys.
Yeah, it's just about when you start hitting these sloppy conditions is how you change your gears, and moving your body weight up through these waves is also really important. It takes away that really high groove that you can often just lock in. So sometimes you might see the guys pop a little bit forward, soften everything up a little bit, just sail a bit lower mow, because if you stall out in this, it takes you a while to get back moving.
We've got puff of the day at the moment. We've got maximum pressure. This is the most pressure we've seen on the race course all day.
It looks quite windy when you look out the window, but it's not super fresh though, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. We're probably getting to the end of the tide too, so we've got a high tide.
Yeah.
Just coming up.
10 minutes of
Yeah.
tide, really, Pat.
It's not
so
really
it's not much.
But no, I like where Army is here. I think they've really managed to step up a bit into this pressure and get a bit of a lift. And we've got the follow-on pack just here, which is Imagine Signage just in the middle there.
The red pumps with the black sails in the middle. And the Davis Marine, they've just really chipping their way back through this. They're looking nice.
Yeah, clear fourth, yeah?
Yeah, and the Sutek guy, boys. Much better race for them in this one. They're looking quite solid. Imagine sort of dropped back a little bit there, didn't they? Their big risk hasn't paid off too much.
Yeah, well, they, you know, obviously had to go right, and then when they went to go left, they were caught up in all that disturbed air from the ferry, so they've had to battle their way through, but they'll sail their way through, no doubt.
Yeah, I think they'll chip their way back through it. Very, very tight, MCC and Moonen here.
So 3 laps today, so we've got 3 laps course on this longer course, so still plenty of time for them to sail through here, but all the boats now on starboard tack on the ley line. Imy's looking pretty nice here.
I think quite like the position the Davis Marines coming in here. They've taken a bit higher line. They're going to have a nice smooth rounding. And a couple of guys putting a bit of pressure on each other in front of them.
Nice. Great lead there for Imy. Joel Beechel, Trent Barnes, Flynn Toomey. Nice lead, followed by MCC in second. Our regatta leader.
Doing what they have to do at the moment.
Moonen in third. You're looking forward to a good downwind run, Moonen. With Davis Marine sailing a really good race today, the boys. 4th place.
They were at the beginning of the season, they were pushing up towards the front. They were doing a lot of training as well, and, especially in the lighter breezes. We're starting to see them get a lot better in this heavier stuff, which is good to see.
Good to see. And Red Pumps just here in 5th. With Imagine Signage, pulled themselves up in a 6th place with Sutek in 7th. So we'll see where Imagine Signage ends up. But at the moment, we're liking where MCC is looking in terms of overall regatta.
So there's a big gap behind them from there, isn't there? These top 7 have really jumped away from everybody.
Yes, they have. And
oh, the Botany, Steve-O, what are you doing?
yeah, Red Pump's Red's back in that pack too, so that was a bit of a notable one.
Well, they went back at the start, so they've done pretty well to get back to there, I think.
They have, yes. Okay, so all boats are going downwind here on starboard jibe, making their way down to quarantine. And with Imy still holding a nice lead over MCC and Moonen Yachts in 3rd, Davis Marine in 4th. But Imy's going to have to get a jibe in here at some point. before they fly in Australia. And there they go. Crossing clear ahead of MCC. Some swirly pressure down here on the point, guys. You know, you can see MCC all of a sudden got a pretty good header. Now they've jibed.
Can turn into a bit of a washing machine in terms of the air through this sort of channel along this cliff, in the southeaster, and the swell as well. Sometimes it's better just to stay away from it.
Get some clear air, yeah.
But with this breeze picking up too, unfortunately, the left-hand side turns into a bit of a washing machine. It's about trying to find a nice lane down the middle with a nice gust, bit of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I think stretched out there. I think they've timed their jibe out of there pretty nicely.
They seem to be sailing a bit hotter mode downwind. Oh.
Okay, and everyone's now all making their way over to Dobroyd. Pressure's still increased. It's pretty nice, really. It's been a great day for sailing, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just sort of filled in a little bit. As we said, the conditions have gotten a bit choppier as we've just had a few more boats disturbing our waterways. But just a nice sort of last little bit of summer sail, isn't it?
So, boy, Moonin, you know, like, they've had a really good run here. They've definitely been able to sail deeper than the other two guys. I think they've been our biggest mover on this run.
Well, yeah, it's just got real natural feel downwind. And I know the communication on the systems that they sail on their boat and how they decide where they're going. They're a very team-orientated boat. There's no dictator. So downwind, Ruffy's job is to sail the boat smooth and fast. Matty makes it go quick, and then Gus will be calling the gusts in and trying to he's sort of on strategy down the runs. So everybody focuses in on their one role, and it just seems to work really well. Whereas I find other people I've sailed with, the skipper's trying to do too much of the job. It's really not as locked in as it is. It just seems to work for them. And as you will see, their manoeuvres are extremely smooth.
Well, they're doing a good job, and but Ivy's doing a great job too. They jibed out of there pretty nicely and some nice pressure, but MCC are keeping the pressure on, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really liking the guys who are extending as far left as they can at the moment, staying out that pressure that's further out in the bay. So sort of, if you can get deeper here, the better, because then you don't hit this light air as early. The MCC just seems to just be able to just really push everybody, don't they?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who else has had a really good run down here, the Davis Marine. Like, they're putting a lot of pressure on the moon in here. I think they might even get ahead of them.
Okay, these boats on screen still have to get another jibe in to get down to the gate. So just timing of that jibe and which mark they're going to go to is going to be the key. So Army just getting their jibe in now. Spinning a set for a few more boat lengths before they go for the drop.
Jibe
Looks like
drop
they're going to
on
go
the
for the left mark as we look at it now. Flynn's got a bit of work here to get that shoot off.
I think we're going to see a split here with the Moonin going left-hand turn.
Better drop there for MCC.
But they've got the spinnaker chute, so they get to pull it in with a rope. Makes it nice and easy.
Comes in quick, doesn't it?
Yeah. You just got to have the money to keep on buying them, unfortunately.
And, geez, I tell you, you're right. Davis Marine had a really nice run. He's sort of tied for third with Moonin there. So Moonin obviously going to the right mark and heading off to Dobroyd, or Reef Beach. So we'll see how that plays out for them.
Just trying to get a bit of separation, which I think is the key for them. I don't think they're going to do MCC on speed here. Upwind.
No, I don't think so. I think a little bit more weight on the MCC, and I think they've got their rig tuned for the higher end of the...
They also sail with a slightly bigger mainsail than everybody else, I believe. So they're always running max sail area, but they just have a flatter and a deeper jib. Whereas the Moonin's on their second jib, so they just don't have quite that juice. And Gus is not as large as he used to be, Gus, is he? He lost a bit of weight when he travelled around Australia.
Just imagine signage just rounding simultaneously with Sutek. So in 6th, tied for 6th place. So fair bit of work to do there. So I think in the overall standings, where, you know, in terms of the regatta, MCC's got a great lead now. I think, you know, Moon and Yachts is sitting in second, got nothing to lose at this point, whilst Imagine Signage is a fair way behind. So,
well, I mean, if the Moonin wants to win, they need to get the 4 boats plus Imagine in there for them to clean this thing up. So, barring failure, they're looking pretty good. We can just see, just out the window, you can't see it on screen. On the Imagine, Nathan just seems to be reaching back and playing with his, doing some things with the rudder gudgeons a little bit. So perhaps they've had a bit of an issue there.
Here's the Moonin on screen that split at the bottom mark, and they came around behind Davis Marine, didn't they?
they did.
Sort of simultaneously.
Yeah. So to me, it looks almost probably Davis Marine just ahead. Let's see here.
Davis Marine's going through the water really nicely there.
So Davis Marine there.
There we go, that's a cross.
So advantage Moon and Yachts. There we go. But certainly not much in it between the right and left.
No.
Just up to weather of them, you can see IME stacked to weather of MCC. So I think all guys trying to get themselves up into this left-hand pressure above quarantine.
I quite like the pressure that the Army's heading into right now. They're just going to take a bit of a header here, and then I think they're going to get a good left-hander, which will be able to squeeze away.
Trying to keep a nice cover on MCC.
Are we? Do you think MCC would be happy sitting there and, you know, going, oh, second does it? Or do you think they go, hey, let's really drive this nail home and push super hard for a win?
Well, I don't think you take your foot off the pedal, Paulie.
No,
like, it's always rule one.
No,
and
you've always got to sail. But
you know, you've done enough where you are at the moment, so you sort of don't have to take any silly risks. And if the mistake comes from IME, well, you're there to instantly step in and take over the
You're not trying to roll them on a set on the top mark, eh?
No. No, you're playing a little bit safe.
Tactically, they've sailed very well today. You know, they've just picked their moments. They've let their boat speed do the work, and they've just kept themselves always in clear pressure, moving nicely, and haven't left themselves too exposed. So, no, I think they've done a pretty nice job. But I think IME sailing a little higher mode at the moment compared to them. IME just trying to sail the high road, trying to hook into this left pressure. What's the weight difference between the two crews?
I'd say the MCC's got a fair... Overall total crew weight, I'd say MCC would be higher.
And there's our live leaderboard back up on the screen. But yeah, the crew weights, it's definitely... I think there's a bit of BS goes on in the bar regarding actual crew weights sometimes.
How much did I tell you I used to weigh, Jimmy?
Oh, you were never over the ton.
I definitely
I know
was.
that much.
No, but the Imy's got the little jockey on the back. So I think that's the big difference between Kerr and Joel. That makes a bit of a difference. And then I think Chris has got a bit of size on Trent. And then the forward hand's probably about the same.
Well, it's interesting. Imy's decided to tack away here to the left, so they want a little bit more pressure. I think they've seen their fast ferry coming down and decided that they wanted to steer clear of that. So that fast ferry is going to go between IME and MCC. MCC's just tacked now, so be interesting to see what this separation results in. I quite like what IME's doing here, by my eye.
Start to see in the back of the shot the 13-footers with Cybertech Group leading the Kitchen Maker, leading Harkin, and then Sail Media in third.
Go Sail Media.
Go Sail Media.
Fourth. Oh, third. Let's make it third.
Some good racing there in the 13s today.
I really enjoy these conditions, the 13s. Just that they don't need much to get up and going, and when you add a bit of bump, it's really nice.
Look at them burning downwind. That's Harkin there, just your most windward boat, just overtaking there. So they're lit up. They're having a nice start. Look at that. They're really rolling over the bow now. Bow down, low hooks. Yeehaw. Alright, back to Imey now. So Imey's still making their way out here to the left-hand side of the course, to the north head side of the course. Because it's a lot longer course, this one, you know, the top marks basically in the middle of the harbour or in between the two heads. So they've got plenty of runway to be able to push it over here to the left-hand side of the course. But there they are, just going for a tack now. Joel Beechel. Pretty smooth tack.
Very smooth tack. He's still young enough he doesn't have to wear boots on the boat. Seems to be a young man's game not wearing boots at a 16.
Joel doesn't own any shoes, he just loves them. I keep offering him boots. I don't need them.
Ruffy never wore boots until one day he put his foot through, lost a whole toenail off a foot. And now he's back in them.
Okay, so
They've done well here, haven't they? Just sort of allowed them to sail themselves almost out to a ley line, make them follow them in on the Imey.
yep, there's Moon and Yachts. They're just working their way right out into the right-hand side.
I think I'd say big gains to the boats over this side at the moment.
Yeah, that'd be my view. Looking at Imey on the weather, up to weather here, they're doing well. But there's Moon and Yachts crossing behind a
Middle Harbour boat.
little harbour boat.
MH44, that one.
Right, not in our race, so we'll guard them. Davis Marine, I think they've moved themselves into third place in my view.
I definitely think they have. I mean, to be fair though, for the boys on the Moon, they've won a couple of these national championships. They're not here to come second. This is the only way they can do it, by hitting and hoping in the right-hand side at the moment, and hope that somebody follows them over there to get a few boats in between.
Yeah, I think you're right. They don't have a hell of a lot to lose.
No one remembers who comes second, so...
What do you say? You're only as good as your last race.
I always remembered you, Paulie.
Yeah, you're lucky on my microphone here, Jimmy. Okay, so the Imey's just done a really good job locking him away. It's almost what MCC did in the last race, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, you're exactly right.
You know, there's slightly different tactics from the MCC in the last one, where they'll often, when they're on port doing a loose cover, they're trying to smash them. When they tried to go left, we'll push them right. I think they're just trusting their speed and enjoying a nice race together though at the moment, the Imey guys.
Yeah, there's not really much more that MCC can do other than just follow on their line.
Yeah, and then as Jimmy said, if they make a mistake, make sure you're smooth and still up there that you can slide through for a win. But you don't really have to super push it.
Well, nice little, not as much pressure up here as last time, but still more than the bottom of the racetrack. But some nice little runners.
Yeah,
Make the run interesting.
Well, compared to Tuesday last week out here, that you wouldn't have got out here in the Camera Cat with the big low that came through, and it was 10 plus metre waves breaking right where we are right now in the middle of the Sound.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's when you get the kayakers out here, don't you?
Yeah, the surf ski guys. There was plenty of guys out at Grotto enjoying making the
they
most
just
of
go
that.
out and they just chase them, do they?
Yeah.
It's perfect for them.
Here we go. Right, so Imey, they've extended their lead on this beat for sure, I reckon, by about 2 or 3 boat lengths. So They started a really nice beat, holding a nice lead over MCC. So rounding at the top mark for the second time in race number 8. Windward set there for Imey.
Jimmy's just trying to do some maths again here.
I'm not trying to do maths. I'm doing a little thing which you call research point to see where there's other little battles there and who might be leading that.
Okay, so Imey's there, and just behind them, MCC had a nice set actually. So it's a 2-horse race now. There's a pretty big gap here between Moonen, who's now actually in third. Actually, he's got the advantage over Davis Marine. So that right-hand side didn't go so badly for them, but they've lost distance to MCC. So
yeah, definitely. They just haven't had their usual speed upwind this year, have they? Like,
no, and they haven't. Well, definitely haven't been doing the training down here. I don't know if they've been training up at Pittwater or that's a ruse.
They have not done it. They've all got a lot on, to be fair. You know, Ruffy's got 2 young kids, runs a successful marine electrician company, and Matty's off sailing every single boat under the sun. Gus is an engineer with a proper job, so they've got to finding the time for the 3 of them is quite difficult.
All right, so we just saw Moonen round in third, Davis Marine in 4th, and Red Pumps in 5th, with Imagine Signage just rounding out that pack in 6th. So staying in touch, but it's a 2-horse race between Imey and MCC. They've really bolted. But,
and I think a 1-horse race for the championship at the moment.
And if they stay the way they are, that they came around this mark, MCC will finish on 15 points, Moonen on 20, Imagine Signage on 23, and Red Pumps on 27.
Right.
Yeah. Because Imey can almost push ahead of Red Pumps here, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Coming in 4th. You can just see as this breeze just dies out on this shore in front of us with that jibe from Moonen. If you get the timing wrong with the waves, you can really stall through those jibes, and that's when it gets a bit dangerous. You can get the back lifted up, bow goes down, have a bit of difficulty. You really want to sail these things at speed through your manoeuvres and not get dictated by the waves around you. It'll be a good battle here to see how the Davis Marine hold on though. They've got 2 pretty of the top boats pushing in behind them. If they can hold them off, it'd be quite a victory for them, I think. It's sort of mentally going into another year and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it goes to show the breeze has shifted. Everyone's had a jibe a lot sooner than the previous race, but you know, the two leaders here are really bow down in a new weather system. They are off.
Yeah. And they both just seem to be happy in their position at the moment, don't they? They're not really fighting each other too much or throwing too many jibes or tucks at each other. There's the MCC.
Great footage of them there, just sailing down at Dobroyd.
They look super rock solid in these conditions too. The boat just at the platform that the guys are standing on looks really stable. They sailed the boat extremely well today.
Great footage by the boys here.
Is that Chris making all our sheet hands look bad there, Jimmy, with this bending business that he's doing?
What is sorry, mate?
Yeah, Chris is bending. What is this? Sheet hands don't bend on a 16, do they, Jimmy?
I never used, so I wasn't allowed to.
I still remember Joe Turner reaching up and undoing your wire to make it go lower one time, I believe.
Oh, okay.
This could
just
be
up ahead of MCC, a fast ferry came through and disturbed all the air for Imey, and they've had to reset. So it's just not on screen at the moment, but the MCC are going to make a gain here.
They've sort of just sailed into exactly the same thing that Imey had to go through, didn't they, though? They sailed to the backside of the ferry and they're sort of slowing up themselves.
Yeah.
An early jibe there would have been very nice.
I think the guys behind might be looking at this and thinking of driving earlier than these guys have. Because they've certainly... but I guess once they've got onto the other jibe and they're getting the new pressure, they're set up pretty nicely.
Oh, this is a long race, isn't it?
Long, short race, remember?
This is a really long, short race.
Yeah.
I didn't see the numbers on the back of the note, but I believe it's 3 laps.
Just getting the most out of the season.
Making the most out of the Sail Media team, I believe.
I think it will be one more lap, Paulie, if the 13s are still going back uphill.
Yeah,
Would be my guess.
I agree with you there. Just here on the MCC, though, you can just sort of see them all looking around on the boat like they think something's wrong or something like that. Just stay cool and calm here.
You start hearing things.
Yeah, you hear a little crack. Oh, is that rig going to fall down? You can see, I think they're actually just cleaning some weed off the rudder. We did see quite a bit up off sort of that... lost my brains here. Quarantine station. Was quite a bit of weed up around there.
Yeah, well, the ramp at the club was...
Covered.
Yeah, there was a bit of a working bee this morning to clean that up.
Yeah, well, that's big storm. Did create a lot of debris.
Yeah, well, we've had sort of the southwesters for a little bit here, which blows it all off the western shore, and then we've just had a southeast and push it back through.
2 quick drives by Army to get down to the mark there and put a bit of pressure on Flynn again, but...
seems to handle it pretty well, doesn't it?
And it's pretty light, so...
I've had
it's coming down. There we go. And just MCC now just about to do the same, going for a jibe drop. Nicely done. Spinnaker sucked down the chute. Boom. Thanks for coming. So you can see Moon and Yachts just coming into the screen there, and they're the 3rd place boat behind MCC, so quite a gap.
They've sort of dropped back to that. Them and Davis dropped back to red pumps and Imagine, sort of, haven't they?
I think Moonan's made a bit of a gain on this run. I think they've actually done all right. Going for the drop now. So Moonan in 3rd place. 2nd place overall for the series.
It's just been super consistent, the Moon, and if we have a look at their scores across this whole series,
Yeah.
I mean, leading into it, we probably would have thought that an average of a 3rd would have won this with the talent that we've got in the fleet. But it seems the ones that are a little bit more inconsistent have managed to do it with a couple more bullets.
All right, so we saw Red Pumps round in 4th, Davis Marine in 5th, trying to get their halyard down. They are, and Imagine in 6th. So that's your real pack here. As we go for our last lap. Last lap of the day. Breeze pretty similar to the start of the race, I would say.
Yeah. Just seems to be coming through in real pulses, doesn't it? If you can sort of link up, not the short-term gusts, just really large, like kind of for 3 or 4 minutes you get a nice puff and then it just shifts slightly. We get it coming through from somewhere else.
Great aerial shot here of the guys heading out to the left. You can just see on the water how puffy it is. You know, it, the different streams of pressure coming down. And that's Amy there, sticking to the formula, going left.
I think if we had the tracker up on them for this, it's almost exactly the same all the way up, hasn't it been?
Yeah, I think it's pretty locked in stone. I reckon they made a bit of a gain there.
I think so.
Being first boat to the left,
I think
gives that advantage.
Down the bottom end of this course, when they're a little bit lighter, when it's a little bit flatter, they should be able to squeeze a little bit more out of it. And then up the top end, when we hit a bit more breeze and a bit sloppier, the extra weight on the MCC allows them to punch through it a little bit better.
got to love the shadow effect of that shot. Makes the boat look huge.
Here we have the Musto, the Moonin, competitors.
They're going to have a close cross here with red pumps, or pass behind red pumps.
So red pumps made a little gain to the right there out of that bottom mark rounding.
Yeah.
So they might have made a nice jump because they'll probably also...
I'd say they definitely jumped up into third from, they probably rounded sixth around the bottom there, I think.
Quite a cool looking window system going on there on that boat. It guess it improves their visibility. I don't know, there's some other commentary on this boat as to whether they like it or not, but...
I'll tell you what, the less Jay Harris can see, the better. I'd be blocking it up.
It's cool, I like it.
Something different.
Well, it's always good to be able to see the guy coming at you on port tack.
The little guy at the back steering can always see them. You know, he'll just tell you to keep going.
It's just rolling into attack there now. So they've made a nice gain. They've stepped up here on the left-hand side of the course. So I think they'll sort of...
I'll tell you what, they're munching into these top boats as well here. They've made good gains on everybody.
They sure have.
Because were they over at the start? Did they have to go back?
No, it was Red Pumps Reb that was over. So yeah, Tyler Transfield, Greg Windust, Jay Harris on Red Pumps. They've been having a good day. You know, they had a second in the first race. They look like they might get a third. So all right.
The Bigfoot 13 on screen. See, working their way up for the last time this season.
Nice work, guys. And Ivy's just put a tack in. So they want more action on the left, and they've also seen the freshwater class ferry coming down, so they've decided that they want to keep well clear to the left of it, and MCC is doing the same. So keeping their eyes up the track, making sure no one gets themselves into some disturbed air from these ferries.
It's going to be a long day for some of these back markers in the 16s. You can see some of them only just starting to come downwind. The Imey just trucking along here, the Imey. Not having to do too much special to stay in front at the moment. Just keep the boat moving nicely through the water. Trent will be working overdrive every single wave. And just trying to link up a few puffs to get out to this port lay that everybody seems to love.
Yeah, I think when you just get out to this point closer to North Head, the left shift just gets better and better. And it's kind of like the slam dunk, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you get in here first, you're...
And if you can make the person behind you follow you in,
Yeah.
it makes life even easier for you.
Got to hand it to MCC guys. They've kept in the hunt, you know. Like it's definitely a race where the leading boat can get richer, the rich can get richer, but they've done a really nice job at just not doing anything silly and staying in the hunt. So I guess that's why they were winning the regatta.
Imey are almost going to attack in exactly the same spot they did up the last work, aren't they? Last time they almost had Jimmy pinned up against the rocks. He's negated it a bit better this time.
Well, it conveniently also positions them dead upwind of MCC. So look at this footage, eh? This is pretty nice. What a good harbour we live in. All right, there's Imey going upwind.
Really sailing with a lot of depth in the bottom of their main to try and push through this kind of choppy conditions. Give themselves a bit more grunt down low. They just look super smooth, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you need to change gears around to this racetrack because you go from light air, flat water to fresh air and bumpy water. It's
There's our 13-foot skiffs with the kitchen maker, making it. They stay there 2 from 2 today.
having a great day.
And Harkin chasing them down behind, but I think It's more than enough, as you said, for Harkin.
Yeah, I
think
believe
they've
they'd
saved it
already
up.
run it the first one, especially with their main competitor jumping in the 16. Just how today.
Oh, they're having a good day of kitchen maker. So there's a regatta winner in the 13s, the Harkin.
Heidi Bates and Orlando Bloom.
Orlando Bloom.
Have you just gave him his new nickname, have you?
No, I just got it wrong.
All right, back to the 16s action. So there's the MCC. Just to leeward, I'll say just to leeward, probably about 50 metres to leeward of the IME. I think MCC has put their bow down a bit to try and keep the boat moving, whereas IME's taking more of a sort of a high road approach.
Do you think Trent's getting tired, do you? He's just locking it in and making him steer around it?
Just stay inside the dial of the wind shift and we'll be fine.
I don't think that's quite in Trent's wheelhouse to ever do that.
No. No. Trent loves it.
Man's a machine.
So yeah, there you go. They've got the two boats on the screen there. Just drag, racing each other to the starboard ley line. I think there might be a couple more tacks before they get to the starboard ley line. We'll see.
I know what I'd be doing. One tacking in. Yeah, they have managed to just put their bow down quite hard there, haven't they? I mean, it doesn't actually look like they've gained too much, but they have given themselves an opportunity. I suppose, really, they're just going to tack in front of them again, so it's not too much.
Yeah, because the third place boat, which is Red Pumps, is just on the same line as IME.
Just
although it has
tacking,
just
yeah.
tacked, yeah. So they're trying to obviously get a little bit of separation. But I don't think they could get to them.
I don't think there's enough runway left in this race for them.
If it was a full length course going offshore, you'd say there's always a chance, because coming back in through the heads, Pat's a hairy old day.
And one of the worst ones I had to do was it was a southerly, and you came across here, and we actually had Trent on the bow with us.
Oh,
We were winning by a significant margin. It was extremely fresh, and we said to Trent, just safety mode to get us there. Managed to launch us off a wave, push me out of the back fruity, and I swung around the back of the boom and snapped the tiller. So it's what can happen, but
All right, so we got IME here. I don't think they're quite on the lay. They might squeeze their way in, but I feel they might need to do another tack, but they've got plenty of room to do so. So temptation here is to squeeze it to try and lay it, but I think you also got to just go for pace. And
when you find you squeeze in these sloppy conditions, the bow just keeps on getting knocked away, and you actually get further away from it. But I think they've done quite well there, though, Pat.
yeah, I think they might make it. I might have,
I don't think it was their quickest way into the mark, though.
but hey, they've kept their lead pretty nice here. They've done a really nice job today. They are going to lay this. I dare say Red Pumps has probably closed in on them a little.
I think they've closed in quite a lot. They've decided to turn the afterburners on the last leg.
So there's IME now. Just coming up the top mark. Easily laid. And there they go for the hoist with MCC regatta leaders.
Windward set here for the IME. They're just slightly more difficult in this slot because you've really got to roll that rig in on top of yourself.
I think MCC's the same.
Yeah, but they've got the spinnaker chute, so theirs just pops out. You can see they can just run at it at pace. I'll tell you what, the Red Pumps, with Tyler Dransfield steering, has done a number on all the boats around him.
Yeah, they've done a really nice job. They're going to round a clear third.
Halve the gap to the boats in front and then extend it away a good 10-20 seconds away from the Moonin. They've just got to sort of deal with the fluid 13 in front of them.
next around will be Moonan and then Imagine Signage with Davis Marine dropping back a little bit there. So we'll head on down with the leaders and fingers crossed we see a new club champion crowned.
Well, I've got my abacus out here at the moment. It's not too difficult to add up, to be fair. But yeah, you know, what do we think? Imagine's sitting in 6th place?
I think they're in 5th.
5th place.
Just
Yeah. So it's looking pretty convincing here for MCC.
yeah.
As we sit right now, they're sitting on 15 points overall, with Moon and Yachts at 21, Imagine Signage at 22. And Red Pump's done a really good job. They're going to stay there and in 3rd place, so they'll be on 25 points with IME on 27, despite being in the lead, but I better not jinx them.
And Tyler winning the Battle of the Dransfields today. He's been getting beaten up by his sister a little bit lately, hasn't he? He's been had his number for a little bit. So I think he'll be happy at the dinner table tonight.
Their grandpa is always watching down in Melbourne.
So, yes. We've got people watching from far away today, Jimmy.
Mate, from all over the world.
And we've got someone on watching from Namibia, I believe.
I believe so, and they've got something to do with
The Carranza crew.
Carranza crew on safari.
Oh, shout out. Shout out
Transcontinental sale media these days.
That's it.
How good.
We are big in Namibia.
We are now.
Sounds like we better get some fire Kobe gear over to Namibia, eh, Sam?
Don't mention importation to me today.
Actually, sorry, I shouldn't have brought that one up, should I?
So, it's a bit of a weak point at the moment. Anyway, here we are. But IME are just playing the playbook perfect here. They're
It's almost exactly what MCC did in the first race, wasn't it?
yeah.
Just get yourself enough of a lead, lock them away, and if they sort of catch up a little bit, you put the hammer down a little bit for it just to get that gap out so you feel comfortable downwind.
Yeah, I think there's just nice pressure running down this Dobroyd shoreline. And you getting a nice header down the bottom once you jibe.
Yeah, you're not coming in on port tack. I think from that first race we saw the port tack approach at the bottom was quite horrible. Stay out here in the pressure for a little bit longer and sort of do a quick double jibe down the bottom to get around the marks.
Okay, I'm just going for the jibe there now. Pretty soft for them, but I think
Yeah, we just seem to be in a bit of downrange pressure.
it happened last time. They seem to get another puff once they get themselves set up, and they'll be off. But they're moving along nicely. MCC's just jibed and had the similar thing happen. Probably managed to get through it's a little bit more pressure.
I think when they were on port too, the way the waves were running underneath them, you're sort of travelling at the speed of the wave and it's taking a bit of pressure off the sails. So they were finding that lower mode was just seeming to work a little bit better. Whereas this one, you're sort of going across the waves. You don't get that benefit of getting pushed down.
Well, they've kept it close, the MCC guys, haven't they? They really have, you know. They certainly haven't let IME sail away with it.
No, kept them honest.
IME's going to win today if everything stays the same, but MCC will be the new club champion for 2025.
He's still got 3 or 4 minutes of sailing. We're pushing this
3 or 4 minutes, they're going to be here in 30 seconds. Commentator's curse will be right. They're looking good. You mind you, with 22 drops, probably not the best, but
Well, the 22 drop was they pulled the halyard through the mast
Right.
on a double race day.
Right.
So they missed the first one and managed to re-thread it externally, didn't they, Jimmy, or something?
I think they actually got it internally. They got it back in properly.
On the beach and managed to make it out for the second race. So, I mean, you'd have to say whoever got that halyard through the mast for them that day probably won them this regatta.
yeah.
I mean, not taken away from the guys actually on the boat.
Tell you what, they're actually coming at the Army here, and Army's going to need to get one more jive, but I think it might be just a little too late.
But they're just setting themselves up to do a Simo jive here. And if you can get that...
Hey, Army's getting their jive in while they... Oh, we're going to get that jive in here, okay?
Oh,
No, it's... we had a bad job by Army here. MCC now coming in. Oh, no, they're going to roll them.
Oh, they're going to get over them.
Oh, it's going to be a photo
mate.
finish here.
Right, that's script.
Photo finish.
I'd say I'd give that one to the Army.
I'm not so sure. I don't know. I think something's happened on the Army in that last jive. But I think that's a photo finish. We might have to revert. We might have to phone a friend.
Yeah, they seem super excited.
Well, they've won the Clown Championship, but did they win that last race? We're just going to phone a friend and see if we can get some intel on that.
Imey just pipped them.
Yeah.
According to
Okay, well done. So
I think, there we go.
that was close. They kept the pressure on.
Either they're not really good at maths or they've just realised they won.
Thumbs up, guys.
No. Oh, they've just yelled out to us asking if they were over at the start. They definitely weren't. They should have been watching and seen the individual recall flag come down.
Thank you. Well done.
So congratulations, Kurt Hansen, Chris Williams and Jackson Cranfield, Club Champions 2025.
It's a bit of an interesting one with the question they just asked us if they were over. Surely with a 4-point lead, if you thought you were over, you'd go back.
Paulie, all those things go through. When I was sailing, were always going through my head. You sure we weren't over? We sure we weren't over? And Rob, in his nice, calming manner, always made sure just focus on what you need to do. Joe had the call, or whoever had the call.
I started with Ruffy. We started in the third row. We were never
So there
over.
is your 2024-25 club champion. And modern concept construction. So probably don't give him a call on Monday if you're wanting some building done, but probably call Chris on Tuesday and he'll be I'm sure he'll party hard.
I think it's a great result for them. They did very well in the States early and narrowly lost, I believe, to the Red Pumps. And then in the Nationals, looking really good to be able to go through and finish it off in the final one. I think it's also interesting for the Manly Club overall. We had a state champion in Red Pumps, national champion in Imey, and the club champs a totally different boat. Just shows the class of the fleet around here and how everybody's pushing each other to the limit and different conditions suit different people. And it's just good to see.
Well, if you look at their scorecard across the 8 races, you know, apart from the races you mentioned where they pulled their spinner guard through, they've had nothing worse than third, and they've won 2 races and the second just now, and a very close second, I might add. So they've definitely been the most consistent team out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, today Moonan had 2 fourths, Imagine had a third and a fifth, Red Pumps had a second and a third, and I guess Imey, almost worth mentioning, they had a sixth and a first. So, you know, modern concept constructions are deserved winners.
Very well done.
Great stuff, guys. Well, what a day out here on the harbour, as usual, with the Sail Media crew. What a ripper day. Do you want to recap the overall results for that race 8? Just quickly, we had obviously Imey in first place, MCC in second, Red Pumps in third, Moon and Yachts in fourth, Imagine Signage in fifth, Davis Marine in sixth.
And then I believe we've got Red Pumps Red coming in next now, followed closely by the Sutak. blue spinnaker, which I believe will be Botany Access.
Yep.
And then another white spinnaker coming through, probably the Musto there, or the Shebang. Better race for the Suchek boys there.
Beautiful. Well, they had to earn their keep today, didn't they, with that last race? Had a nice little course length to it.
I think we earned our keep today as well. That was a long race.
Well, in saying that, guys, I think we might take the opportunity to wrap up proceedings here, and with Botany Access crossing the finish line, going to be followed by Botany Scaffold. So congratulations to Modern Concept Constructions in the 16-foot skiffs for winning the club championship, and to the Harkin in the 13-foot skiff division for wrapping up the championship and topping off a stellar year. Thanks very much to you guys, for Pat and Paulie, for coming and jumping in today and helping out, and thanks to everyone else that's helped us out throughout the year. It's always a pleasure bringing skiff racing and sailing in general to the world, and you know, it's not an easy feat and can't be done without a lot of people behind the scenes. So thanks to Alex, who we had to import from England to fill in. So Alex Chittenden, thanks buddy. Michael Chittenden, who has been tirelessly working on getting everything sorted throughout the year. Thanks to Sammy, and thanks also to Jono on the drone. Thanks to the other guys that have performed the duties throughout the year, and we really appreciate it. And this has been a Sail Media production for the Manly 16-foot Skiff Club.